In October 10th, 1942, Zamość, Poland. The air is cold. The knocking is loud. Too loud. A mother, Barbara, hushes her 5-year-old son. She tells him it's a game, a hiding game. But the men who burst in aren't playing. They are SS, and they are not looking for soldiers. They are not looking for weapons. They are looking for him. The boy is ripped from his mother's arms. He doesn't know why. She will never see him again. He has just passed a test. This was not a random act of cruelty. It was not chaos. It was policy. Act 1. The Architect of Fear. To understand the story of the stolen boy, you must first understand the man who wanted him, Heinrich Himmler. He was a man of mundane appearance and boundless mystical fanaticism. He was not just the architect of the Holocaust. He was obsessed with something else. Himmler saw the German people as a master race, a Herrenvolk, descended from ancient Aryans. But he looked at 1930s Germany and was disappointed. Their race wasn't pure. It was diluted. The SS were ordered to be the vanguard, but even they were not producing enough racially valuable children. The German birth rate was falling. So on December 12, 1935, Himmler created his own solution, a registered association, an organization that sounded more like a charity than a state secret. He called it Lebensborn, the spring of life. This was its public face. At first, Lebensborn was presented as a welfare organization, a chain of high-end maternity homes. The mission? To assist racially and biologically genetically valuable families. But it had another, more secretive purpose. In the Third Reich, illegitimacy was a stain. But for Himmler, a pure Aryan child was a resource no matter its origin. Lebensborn offered these unwed mothers, mistresses of SS officers, local girls, or even secretaries who had a fling with the right man, a place to give birth in secret and in luxury. They were given the best medical care, the best food. They were pampered, but only if they qualified. To be admitted, a mother had to prove her racial purity and the purity of the father, going back generations. She had to be free of genetic defects. She had to be perfect. If she was, her child would be born and the state would do the rest. Many children were given up for adoption to high-ranking childless SS families. Others were part of a bizarre pseudo-pagan naming ceremony, a replacement for Christian baptism. The child was dedicated not to God, but to Hitler, to the Reich. This was the first part of the plan, encouraging the good to breed. But what happened next revealed the program's truly monstrous nature. Act 2. The Great Kidnapping. The war changed everything. Himmler's breeding program at home was not working fast enough. The Reich needed more good blood, and it needed it now. If Germany could not produce enough Aryan children, Himmler would find them. He would harvest them. He turned his gaze east, to the inferior Slavic lands. And here, Himmler's twisted logic performed its greatest, most terrible inversion. He believed that centuries ago, pure German blood had leaked into the Eastern populations. He saw a Polish child with blonde hair and blue eyes, not as a Pole, but as a stolen German. He wasn't kidnapping them, he was reclaiming them. Obviously, in this mixture of peoples, there will always be some Nordic-looking individuals. I propose to take these children, remove them from their environment. Either we win any good blood that we can use for ourselves, or we destroy that blood. There was no third option. The SS with Lebensborn administrators followed the army. They went to orphanages. They went to schools. They went door to door. This was Aktion Heu, Operation Hay, a systematic hunt. Children were snatched from the street. They were taken from playgrounds. Parents who resisted were shot. The horror of this policy is perfectly captured in one name: literacy. After the assassination of Reinhard Heydrich in 1942, the Nazis sought revenge. They chose a small Czech village, Literacy. They executed all the men. They sent the women to Ravensbrück concentration camp. And the children, the 88 children of Literacy, were taken by the SS. Racial experts descended. They examined them all. Most, they declared, were un-Germanizable. They were sent to the Calvinal extermination camp. They were gassed in the back of vans. But a handful, perhaps 9 or 10, were deemed racially valuable. They were sent into the Lebensborn re-education homes. They were forbidden from speaking their native language. If they spoke Polish, they were beaten. If they cried for their real mother, they were punished. He was taught that his homeland was inferior, that his parents were subhuman. He was force-fed a new identity. He was taught to love the Führer. He was taught to be German. This was Germanization. It was the psychological murder of a child's soul. After months of this brutal reprogramming, the children who adapted were given their reward. They were adopted by loyal SS families. A high-ranking officer, his wife unable to have children, could now raise a pure Germanized heir. He would never be told where he came from. He would grow up as the enemy. An estimated 20,000 children were stolen from Poland alone. Tens of thousands more from Norway, Czechoslovakia, France, and Yugoslavia. Most were never seen again. Act 3. The Echo and the Void. May 5th, 1945. The Thousand-Year Reich is in ashes, and the Lebensborn homes are discovered. Allied soldiers stormed these beautiful villas, expecting to find high-ranking Nazis. Instead, they find children. Hundreds of perfectly healthy, well-fed, blonde-haired, blue-eyed children. They look like propaganda posters come to life. But when the Allies try to help them, the children scream. They scream for their SS daddies. They recite Hitler propaganda. Some of the older ones try to attack their liberators, calling them pigs and traitors. The Allies had no idea what this was. They had stumbled into the last, most bizarre secret of Himmler's fallen empire. The world would soon learn the name Lebensborn. In 1947, the administrators of the program were put on trial at Nuremberg, the Russia trial. The prosecution was confident. They had the documents. They had the evidence of mass kidnapping. But what happened next was the final shocking twist in the Lebensborn story. The defense made an audacious claim. They argued that Lebensborn itself was a simple welfare organization, a maternity clinic. They claimed they never kidnapped anyone. The kidnappings, they argued, were done by other SS departments. The children were just delivered to them, and they, as good humanitarians, simply cared for them. Incredibly, the tribunal agreed. They could not prove the direct link between the organization of Lebensborn and the act of kidnapping. The charges of kidnapping and crimes against humanity were dropped. Max Solman and the others were found guilty only of being members of the SS. They served almost no time. For the greatest, most systematic child-stealing operation in modern history, no one was ever truly punished. But the real sentence was reserved for the children. Their story was the one that changed history, or erased it. The war ended, but for them the nightmare had just begun. The Allies launched a massive effort to repatriate them. But how do you return a child who doesn't know who he is? A Polish boy, kidnapped at age 4, is now 9. He speaks perfect German. He believes his name is Hans. He hates Poles. He is returned to a village he doesn't remember, to a mother he doesn't recognize. He sees her as a peasant. She sees him as a little Nazi. Some children were never found. They grew up in Germany, raised by the families of their parents' murderers.